Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dustin Kircher. I got my partner here with Ben Dreiser, and we're with MHP Nation. Thanks for joining us on our show today. We got an awesome guest that was referred to us to talk to, and I'm glad, by the way, that was Michelle Basson, who was on a previous episode. And I'm glad she did because we got an interesting episode or show today with Kaylee Pace. She's part of Big Tex Campgrounds. If you guys have heard the name on TikTok and Instagram, they got a pretty good following there. And what they're doing is they documented their process of building an RV park in Texas from the ground up. So you don't hear that very often. And they are owner operators, which is very cool to see. So we have Kaylee Pace. Her husband, we'll probably have on another episode, is Josh Burrell. But Kaylee's joining us today, and we look forward to diving in and finding out how this all got started and the chaos that is in detail with that. So, Kaylee, thank you for coming on the show.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me, honestly.
Yeah,
It was really cool to meet Michelle over. I met her in Branson at COE, and her and Patrick are just awesome. They're killing it right now. I like just buying RV parks, and I'm
hmm
super proud of them. I think that they're great. But they referred me to you guys, and I was like, that sounds really awesome. I'd love to be on that podcast. So thank y'all for having me.
yeah. Well, thank you for coming on. I know it's been a while because we're in holiday mode and traveling and parks closing, so it was chaos. But
Oh, I mean, it's technically only been a month and a half, but whenever you're running the things that we're running, it feels like a very, very long time. But yeah,
it,
it's only been a month. But yeah, it was definitely a busy holiday season for sure.
yep, sure. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you got yourself involved in.
Well, my name's Kaylee, and I me and Josh started dating about 9 years ago. I believe is we're gonna be celebrating our anniversary actually in about a week. I just
Nice. Congrats.
Anyway, yeah, it's sneaking up on it, doesn't it always though? A little bit about myself. I got into the RV world kind of by accident. I was a single mom back in 2010 to 2012, and I was living doing the roommate thing in Austin, going to UT. I was a single mom going to UT. I moved away from all my family, went to UT, and the roommate thing was great because the expenses of rent were getting really high in Austin, and I loved my roommate. We were great, but after a year, I was like, my daughter's 3, like I'm ready to figure something else out. So I ended up going on Craigslist because back then that was a big thing, and I found this 1995 sandpiper just anyway, to me, I was like, this looks fine. This will work. I felt even back then, I got my degree in communications or my bachelor in communications with the specialization in marketing and advertising. Then I got my minor in business. So my mind was very thinking, if I buy this camper, it's my camper. It's an asset. I'm not firing it up, giving it to somebody else for rent. So this is perfect. But back then in that era, RVs weren't a thing. Like, they were still, oh, you live in an RV. Like now it's totally an affordable way of living. But I was very on the cusp of that trend back then, and it hadn't really taken off yet. So I got into that camper, and I realized I had to fix everything on it. That's a whole other story. But I got to raise my daughter in it, really old fashioned, really good and slow. Because as you know, living in an RV, you really become part of the community. And most of our meals were eaten outside on the barbecue pit because it's just, why not, right?
Yep. Join no
And
takers.
so, anyways, yeah, that I fell in love with the RV space back then, and then enters Josh a few years later, and he traveled for pipeline, so he stayed in RV parks, and so we both we realized that we loved RV parks, and that's kind of how we came to doing what we're doing now. So, I mean, as far as myself, that's kind of my story and how we got into the space, and a little bit about how we got there or whatnot.
Nice. And then what made you How did this deal, building it from the ground up, come about? Like, what was the thoughts behind that, the conversations, and then how did you land in what's the area again in Texas?
In Wheeler. So it's over by Canton,
Yeah.
which is First Monday Trade Days. It's over by that area in Tyler. So like northeast
Okay.
Texas. How did we land over there?
Yep.
So how we decided to build it from the ground up? Well, it started off, me and my husband loved debating about everything. But that was one of the first conversations we had was how would you build an RV park? So it wasn't that we just said we're going to build an RV park. Like it was more, it started out as a debate, almost a competition. Like I would build it
Mm,
like this and I would build it like that. And we realized that if we got our combination together and we did it just right, we would actually create a really cool RV park. So it was always in the back of our mind. It was more of a timing thing of when we could do it because he was in pipeline and having he's a great stepdad. He became my child's just, he involved in her life. That's his daughter. She has her own dad too, but she brags that she has two dads. Um, and anyways, after a while, the way that we got into we decided to build was because during the time that he was in pipeline, we were remodeling our house. And after remodeling our house, something that was existing, which was a 1984 kit house, basically, and the guy that lived here before thought he was Bob the Builder, we had to redo everything. And so that just put a really sour taste in our mouths as far as like if we were to buy an RV park, what little surprises would pop up? And is it more of a headache? Would we rather know everything's new, have the certifications, put the systems in place the way that we want it, not have to deal with investors? So that's why we kind of leaned towards the buying. It was actually heavily influenced by our remodel on our house during the first 5-6 years of our relationship. Uh,
got it.
yeah, so that's how we got into
Wow.
that space.
And so finding the land, what was that process like? Like, how many acres is the park right now? Was it always that size? Did you expand? What was the details on that?
So East Texas, how we landed in East Texas was very, very interesting. Neither him nor, well, he had been one time to Tyler to do a pipeline job, but we live in the hill country. So out here west of Austin, over by Llano, Marble Falls, things like that, if you're familiar with Texas, out here the land is outrageous. And so we knew we wanted to build a campground. And we also knew the land out here was not really to where it would be just cost effective to do what we wanted to do out here. So we started searching for places that had growth potential, but also a lower cost per acre. And that's how we
Mhm.
landed over in East Texas. The process of getting the funds to do that is kind of a little bit more of a different story, though.
Got it. So let's talk about that. Let's
Okay.
let's jump right in. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. Yeah, how did the getting the capital to build this park come
Okay.
about?
And how did you find the piece of land? Did you find it through a broker? Did you guys market yourself? We want to know everything.
I know, I like that. I like both of those questions. Okay, so the first question, to answer the first question, how we ended up getting it. So back in 2021, yes, 2021, middle of then, it was kind of on the uptick for the real estate market.
Mhm.
And as you know, things were great for sellers, not so great for buyers.
Mhm.
And we have, so whenever I first got with Josh, I kind of did something very similar to what Michelle did with her husband. And Josh was off pipelining. And I called him one day because we had been living in a camper together. It was a 1979 Holiday Rambler. He was in between jobs whenever we were staying together there, which is totally normal in pipeline. You drag up,
Mhm.
you get calls, you go to the next job. It's just,
Yep.
I mean, I think he had like 6 W-2s that year. That's just how it is.
Yep.
But we were staying in this 1979 Holiday Rambler, and I was looking for a house. So this is back circa 2016, beginning of 2016. um we would watch I Love Lucy on DVDs because I had no Wi-Fi in that thing because those things were built solid. I had to walk
Yeah.
outside to talk to him.
Those
um
big tin cans.
Yeah, and it was actually one of the coolest parts of our relationship is the fact that we used to sleep on a little twin size bed in a 1979 no slides holiday Rambler. I mean, the kind that had the little yellow gold thing along the side, that's what we had.
Yeah.
And it was on somebody's property out in the woods. We had campfires every night. It was really cool. But either way, going back to that, we bought a house in 2016. I basically came here out to where we live, in the area that we live is in Spicewood. This area was on the outskirts of Travis County, and Travis County's huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of tapped out all over on the edges already because it's grown so much. But Spicewood was kind of an untapped market, and the Pedernales River is right there and all that kind of stuff. So I found this house over here, and I was like, "This is it. This area is going to grow. This house is not a good house. Like, it has good bones," is what I said. And I was like, "It has great bones. Let's explore this a little bit." And I called him, and I was like, he was on Pipeline out in Beaumont, I think is where he was at the time. And I was like, "I put in an offer." And he was like, "Okay, so you put in an offer." I told him, "It's not a mistake. We're going to be able to use this house to do some crazy stuff one day." That was back in 2016. So we remodel, everything kind of goes the way it is. Now this house, here's where we got the capital. This house is split into two lots. So you have the house on one lot, and then you have another adjacent lot to it. Can't tell unless you pay my property taxes
Mm-hmm.
that that's a separate lot, that it's literally
Parcels.
two parcels. Yeah, it's two parcels in one. We got one mortgage with two parcels and a house. So I spoke with my realtor, and I said, "Is there a way that we can tap into that? Because it's vacant property. We're not using it." And she hooked me up with my mortgage guy, or with her mortgage guy that she liked, and he was able to facilitate a basically to where we were able to redo the loan, and it only included one parcel with the house on it, and then it free and cleared the other lot to be sold. So we put it on the market with just a traditional realtor, and it sold within a week. We had multiple offers on it because this was 2021, and we sold it for around 366,000 for 1.4 acres. That's it. It's
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it
pretty
was a pretty good chunk. But as you
Yeah.
know, we had to pay all those closing fees and the seller's agent and all that, all that stuff. We had to pay all that. Then we had to pay down our truck and all this kind of stuff to be able to get a land loan. And what we decided to do was to save that capital that we had, which was, by the time it was all said and done and we paid the land down payment, we paid the truck off, and we did all that kind of stuff to get all of our numbers right. I think we started off with 200,000 capital on the property to get started. And then we had the land loan that we got. Now, looking back, I may have done something different. I may have done like a 1031 exchange on it, and then taken out money from the land to tap into that equity to get, something more, our cash for the capital. But we didn't know what we were doing. This was our first time. So we were, that's how we ended up getting that. Now, as far as your question, Ben, how did we find the land in East Texas, right? That's how we ended up doing it. We just found it ourselves. In fact, I looked at land in East Texas and I didn't see anything, but I went on, I found a realtor out there, and he was able to find a land watch deal, and it wasn't listed on Zillow or anything like that. It was 29.18 acres, and it had an entrance right off of the highway, which is Highway 64 in Ben Wheeler. This Highway 64 connects Canton and Tyler, so it's a pretty hefty highway. But it was set back in the trees, and it was on 30 acres. It was also in between, if you look at our map, it's in between the highway and the town. So our parcel actually backs up into Ben Wheeler. So we have walking trails where our guests can go straight into Ben Wheeler if they want to. It's 4 acres right now. So it's pretty cool. But that's a long answer to both of those questions.
So roughly 300,000 you get from selling off a parcel by your primary home. Did it take more than 300,000 to build what you've got now? And how many spaces? So we know it's 30 acres is the land that you bought.
Mm-hmm.
How many spaces do you have? And then did it take more than 300,000 to build out?
Okay. So I'll start with, did it take more than 300,000? Yes. Well, we technically started out with 200,000 because we had to pay, but it went towards the land down payment and things like that.
Yeah.
But whenever we came to actual construction, it was 200, and we got pretty far with that. Considering that we didn't own any equipment or anything like that, we had to rent it. The inflation was insane back then because we're talking 22, 23, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it was kind of on the down angle, you know, it wasn't where wood was, you know, inflated by 10 times like it was for a little while there. We were on the downside of that. But basically we ended up having we knew this too. We always have a backup plan for our backup plans. And we knew that even with this one parcel that we have with the house on it, we could tap into the equity of the house if needed to complete the RV park. So that's what we did. About, I want to say 7 months into it, we had to do the clearing, we had to do the utilities, but we needed to tap into the HELOC. We ended up getting a HELOC. We tapped into that, surprisingly, to do the gravel roads. That was what was actually one of our biggest expenses. I think that people don't account for that. There's 3 surprise things whenever you're building an RV park that costs a lot of money. It's the roads that you don't account for, whether that's concrete, whether that's road base, whether that's and keep in mind, we paid next to nothing what other people would pay because Josh is the man. Like, he's the excavator guy. He's the one that's doing all the grade work. I don't even want to know what it would have cost if it had been
all that.
Oh yeah, if that had been contracted out, that would have been wild. But yeah, that the 3 unexpected things was the roads, insurance, and property taxes. Yeah, those were the 2 that were pretty.
Did your taxes get readjusted? Well, Texas, I've owned some property in Texas, but Texas is notorious for reassessment. So did you get a reassessment as soon as your park was finished?
Yes, we actually got reassessed the very first year whenever we didn't even have anything on it. They like, I was like, we're not even open yet, y'all. Like, come on now, like, quit biting the snake. Like, I'm like, we're a small business. We're trying to bring some stuff to y'all. Like, why are you being mean?
But no, they're on it every year, sometimes more than a year.
I know. It's so wild. And that's kind of one of the downfalls, because you can't anticipate how much they're gonna, you know, how much they're gonna do that. Like, you don't know if they're gonna be fair or not be fair. And the way that they evaluate RV parks, as you know, is just they just think that you're booked every night at 55 a night, and they base it on, your daily rates. And I'm like, it's not accurate in some areas. So yeah. It's been fun.
I'm surprised they didn't just go off the land value.
I
like
know.
The value. That's
the potential. It's the unrealized gains is what they're going off of. So
yeah, it's interesting because everything else is the business, but you have your land, and it's very frustrating. By the way,
I know. I told them, I said, I've only developed 6 acres. Why are you commercialing all of this stuff behind me? I said, that's 15 acres behind me that's not even touched. Like, if you have a convenience store, or let's say a strip center on 40 acres, right? And your strip center only covers the part that's by the highway. Do you get charged commercial for all those 40 acres behind you? Because according to the tax people, you do. So it's just kind of, I feel like the whole thing needs to be reassessed, because it's just not fair for small business owners at all. But that's a whole other As far as how many sites we have right now, we completed with 16. We got a personal loan and finished up the back 18 because we had all of the utilities, but we didn't have the roads. It was interesting because I was trying to find loans. At this point, we didn't have enough. Whenever we first opened, we had 16 sites, and it wasn't enough to break even. So unlike whenever you're buying an RV park, you have people there, like paying for things. We didn't have that. We went a year, how long? 15 months.
So you have your burn rate, basically your burn time. So you're just going through.
Yeah. And you're paying the loan at the same time. If you do have to do a loan, you're paying the loan while you're building, and you're living off of your loans. So that was something that was kind of hard, was getting those first 16. That moment, which I believe for us, we opened in September of 2023. The moment that was the breaking point that tests your inner gangster was was for us, and every business owner has it, like that one, like right whenever you get off of the building part, or and you're finally taking off, there's like this moment where it's either sink or swim. And for us, that moment was about 4 or 5 months after we opened, whenever we were just hitting a brick wall with our expenses and we didn't have enough. And I was like, we have to finish out these last 18 sites. We have to get some money for it. And I actually did ask family for some, because we needed 64,000 to complete the roads. And they own businesses. They are business owners, but they own brick and mortar stores. So they do hair salons, things like that. Yep. And when I said I needed that much money, they were like, what is that going to be used for? Because, you know, they're older. And I'm like, just the gravel. Like, they were shocked. You know, that's like 5 years of inventory of shampoo and conditioner for them. So whenever I said 60 is what we're looking for, because at that point we didn't want to tap into our HELOC anymore. And we ended up finding someone that lent us money privately, and we were able to finish out those 18 sites. And then we filled up in May, June, July of the following year. So that breaking point was December to February. May, it came around and things started rolling. So
nice. So okay, but
I was just going to say, do you mind talking a little bit about the numbers, like what you purchased the property for and what every phase cost you, and kind of like where you were at in that?
Yeah, I can get some general numbers for sure, because I know it's very different for everybody. And also just want to keep in mind, I'm going to go ahead and do it real quick, but I just want to keep in mind that Josh did everything. Okay. So that would be a very interesting podcast too, because he literally, I can't tell you the right numbers for a normal person that would hire this out, but I can tell you what we spent. So the road, okay. We dug a pond, which property tax people tried to tax us on. They tried to say that was usable land, and I'm like, it's not usable. It's a dirt mound right now. But anyway, but it was funny. We used the dirt to build up the sites and all of that kind of stuff. Excavation work aside, I would say that would account for a lot of what a person's normal expenses would be, and that would probably be a surprise cost. But if we want to just talk utilities and the land and all that, then I can go there with that. $290 for the 30 acres was what that was financed for. We put down 70,000 of our capital on the down payment for that. Currently, we owe less than our mortgage on it. Like, it's not too bad, because we've been paying on it for 2 or 3 years, and we do bi-monthly payments on it. People need to realize how good that is. I feel like it's a secret more people need to know about. Let's see. The septic system was a shocker. That one, just to do, now listen, you can see some of our TikToks. You'll see that we did the what they call the collection lines, which is the lines that go, and I did them too, by the way. Josh did do, I have the sun coming in my face, so I'm trying to see if I can maybe move this over a little bit. So Josh did build the RV park, right? But we built it together. And during the summer, my mom would watch our middle child, because this was, of course, before I had my third child, and which we found out about her right after we opened. That was fun. But anyways, the collection lines we did ourselves. We paid for all the materials. We installed. We did all of that. We had a septic designer that we paid. She was affordable. I think it was like $4,000, $5,000 for her. Then we installed it. We did all the digging, all the trenching, all that stuff. And the septic company that we hired installed the tanks and then ran the line for the septic fields.
The leach lines.
Well, we don't have leach. We have aerobic. So reason being is because the septic designer does soil testing. That soil testing came back that we have too much clay, which is great for building an RV park, not good for septic. I was like, can we just like dig a big hole and put a lot of sand in it? She said no.
That's what we've used is I've had projects where it's pit systems instead. It's the same thing. But they're very costly.
Yeah, I explored the hill things too, like the mounds.
Oh yeah.
I that too. I was like, we could make something fun out of it. but apparently that's just not, it's like, wait, not a lot of people do that down here in Texas, apparently. So, at least not where we were located. Cause that's something whenever you're building an RV park too, you have to meet new vendors. Like you got to start from scratch with all your systems, whether it's a property management software or whether it's a septic guy. I mean, it's crazy. But that was 67,000. Which was fair. But here's the deal. We got quotes from 4 different septic guys and they were from 67,000 all the way up to 125 for the same thing. So I always tell people, if you're going to be doing any kind of building project, whether it's a remodel, whether it's a house, like a house, an RV park, whatever, 5 bids minimum. It doesn't matter if it takes you twice as long to figure it out. It's going to save you bukus of money. And the guy that we hired was awesome too. Water lines, we installed those ourselves. There's not a lot of what we did. We did it the way that it should be done. And we did it probably better than a designer would have done it, because Josh is very particular about how he does things. So we had to pay for the valve from the county, or not the county, but the community water system. We had to pay for the valve for that. We did have to pay quite a bit of money for getting the water to our property. So that's not going to be everyone's case. We had to literally get our own line to the highway because Ben Wheeler didn't have a 2-inch line or a big enough line.
So your city water though. I mean, that's...
we needed, I mean, it's city water, and the water tower is actually right next to us. So, but you have to go all the way around the campground to get to it, because you have to be able to read a meter from a public highway. I've been learning so much. It's wild. But that, I would say that total cost was around 70,000. And then the electric was a little bit different. I can't tell you how much we spent on it because I don't know. It was so many parts for electric. Breaker boxes, insulation, like the conduit, the tees, all of those things. I don't know. And I also didn't include how much we spent for the collection lines either. That's just materials and labor. But I would say the electric we had an electric engineer that drew everything up, and everything was included and all that kind of stuff. And I just don't remember how much that cost. It was too many different time frames with everything. So,
and everything's separately metered.
Yes, we had to work with the power company. We did have electricity on the property already, so that was super helpful. We didn't have to get an easement or any lines. The electric company was super easy to work with, and then we just kind of had to work with the engineer and get everything hooked up with him and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, It was definitely fun.
And then so thanks for going through that, because that's I think is helpful for a lot of people. Again, for those that are listening, they did a lot of the work themselves. So like Kaylee mentioned, get 5 bids, because there's always a huge range of contractors. Now you probably say like, okay, if 3 of them are coming in at 67K, that's probably the price. But you got one that's maybe like 35,000. You probably don't want to use them because you pay for what you get, right?
Yes. Yeah. We actually ended up choosing the guy that was one step above the lower guy, but it's because the guy that we ended up choosing had like amazing reviews. He was really good about you have to sign up for a 2 years of maintenance, and he was just really cool. We liked him. We vibed with him. The other guy was just kind of, the guy that was really high was the one that was super duper arrogant. We didn't really get a good vibe from him. The other one seemed like he was too new, the one that was lower. So we did choose the middle guy out of the 5. He was the second lowest, but
Nice. So with the park as it's running now, are they daily, weekly, or are they monthly stays? How's your park kind of set up?
So now that the park's built, and it's been operating since September of 2023, so going on a year and a half now, something that was very interesting was we were so excited about the East Texas land being affordable. We were like, oh my gosh, 30 acres for this amount. Like, that's insane. How awesome. But there's a reason for that area as well. Just the market, we were all over Texas when Josh was pipelining. West Texas, East Texas, South Texas, like, the armpit of Texas, Central Texas, we were everywhere. So we knew going in that it was going to be lower in East Texas, because I did my market research with me having that background in marketing. And we did a competitive analysis looking at all the RV parks that were around there, and the KOA and Mill Creek and all of those other RV parks that are near us, they're charging less in this area than they do in the rest of Texas too, especially KOA. So I told myself, I was like, okay, that's doable. We're going to hit that and then go a little bit under. But what I didn't account for back then was that as a new park, they have all these amenities that we don't have yet. So I ended up having to go finding a good pricing point to where we can survive this business and at the same time give a good value to our guests where they feel like they're getting a lot. That was important to us, but what we ended up doing was we lowered our rates and for our long-term stays. We lowered them, and then we told everybody that was in there, like, once we add these certain amenities, which 2024 or 2025 is the year for adding amenities, and 2024, by the end of 2025 there is going to be a rate increase because we're going to have a dog park. We've already covered, I think, half of the amenities, and it shows that on our website too. We just got done building a shower, we did a laundromat, we did an office, we're doing propane and all that. So we're going to match it back then, or going up to that. So yeah, that's pretty much where that's going.
And so so it sounds like maybe the majority right now are longer term stays.
Yeah, except for during the summertime, we fill up with short term stays. What was weird was in the spring, we didn't start really taking off until, because we opened up those back 18 sites. They were still growing grass and everything like that during this time last year. They were being built this time last year. May through September, we had a lot of dailies, like a lot of dailies. We had to open up, and we were booked with monthlies too. So that was we only have 35 sites. So it was trying to eat musical chairs for a little bit there. But I would say that we like to keep right now in this space, because we're only in phase 1. Phase 2 is going to be for long-term guests, and then we're going to open up the front of the park for dailies. And there's a lot of daily potential once we get that pond built, the swimming pond and all that stuff. So yeah, right now it's long-term, and then whenever we open up the back, we're going to move them, and then we're going to focus more on a separate area for long-term, and then the short-term in front. Yeah.
So that means future expansion, more sites on the property. Is that what you're talking about?
We have what was that?
Can you walk us through your future plans and how many sites and what the phase? I know you mentioned phase 2. What exactly phase 2 and phase 3 include?
Oh yeah. Okay. So that's a good question. Phase 1 is getting our amenities up and then having the 35 sites, which is why we're kind of tailoring towards long-term, because that's consistent cash flow every single month. The phase 2 is a combination, phase 2 and 3. And this is laid out on the website too, for anyone listening, the future phases and stuff. Phase 2 and 3 are kind of intermingled because we have to finish building the pond to expand to the back. So Josh has to build the pond, expand to the back. And so phase 2 includes the long-term sites in the back that we're going to be building. They're going to be fenced in. They're going to have carports. They're going to be a completely different vibe, but still very campy. And all of our guests that are there right now, they're super excited about that. Currently, our walking trails are where the long-term area is going to be. So a separate space for them. Meanwhile, still adding amenities. And then we're really going to dive into getting either safari tents or cabins or something. We have something that we call TP Row, and that is going to be phase 3. And Josh is going to be, all of this is, whenever Josh gets there, what we're doing is, my oldest daughter is 17. When she graduates, we're moving out to East Texas, and because we just fell in love with the place. It's amazing. And this will all be happening kind of simultaneously, phase 2 and 3 together, because Josh has to build up all the roads. He's going to build up TP Row 2. That's what we call it. We don't even know if there's going to be TP there, but that's what we call it. So we're going to build that up. That's going to be, and then there's this area, we do have a creek running through the property. So there's this really treed area to the right side of the pond that we're going to have, we own the other side of the pond, and we ended up buying a second entrance that was a little tiny 0.4 acres that cut into our property. But having that entrance off of the highway allows us to have a second entrance on the other side of the creek. So we're going to make it to where it wraps around, and there's going to be primitive camping over around the creek side. And then we're even way later, We're going to put a motor lodge over on that side of the property, so that if you're coming to stay with us, you have the swimming pond, you got the rope swings, the slide, the very 1980s vibe. But you have different ways to stay. You got the RVs, you got the primitive camping, you've got the, I don't want to call it glamping, I would call it like an upscale version of camping, because it's kind of like camping with perks. And that would be the safari tents. And then you have the motor lodge for grandma and grandpa that want to have their own bathroom in the room and have a TV. And then we're also going to have taco trucks and stuff at the front too, so that if you're swimming with us, I don't have to deal with any food. You can just go buy from them and they'll pay me, you know, a lot fee or something like that. So that's the super future 5 years from now plan.
Nice. That sounds like it's going to be quite the task to bring on. Right?
We don't ever, me and my husband joke all the time. We're like, what are we doing? Why do we keep doing this to ourselves? But it's just such a, we really just enjoyed our childhood so much. And trust me, I get why these resorts build their parks the way that they do. I 100% understand. As someone that just did utilities and we cherry pick the spots based on the trees, I see why they build them in hayfields. One line, one shot, one opportunity, like Eminem says. Like it's great. But I get why they do that now. But here's the thing, and I completely understand, you know, it's awesome. But what we're really trying to do, and I really feel like the market's going this way for RV parks, is that niche marketing. Whether that's an adults only park, whether that's a dog friendly park, and they really focus their marketing on that. Ours is nostalgia. Ours is, if you come to our campground, your kid's gonna feel like how you felt in the 90s, in the 80s, and stuff like that. So that's kind of what we're trying to create.
Yeah, and you know, it definitely there's things to be said about, you know, the straight lines, you know, like you're talking about, and then the ones that are more, you know, unique and the layouts and stuff like that. It does help. I'm personally not a fan of just I call them the concrete jungle. Basically, it's just, but you know, some people like that and some people do. But
and that's what I'm noticing too. Some are like, I like the cleanliness and seeing all the grass, and if there's a rock in there, I can see it, like, you know. And then some people are like, I really just miss having trees. And then there's some people that don't like trees. So that's, you know, we've stayed in plenty of parks, and that's kind of where Josh's expertise came into it, was that with my background, you know, I came from living in a camper and really like loving the community side of it. But he came into it with, I've stayed at 60 million RV parks, and this is what I like, and this is what I don't like, and this is how I would do it if I did it. That's how Big Tex Campgrounds was born. It was born from a debate between him and I about what would work, and then we put our ideas together, and that's where it came from. You know, he loved the idea of trees and stuff, but now that we built one, we're like, yeah, that was tough. We chose the hard path, of course, like always, but it was worth it. It's a beautiful park. Looks like it's been there for 30 years. I mean, you can even see in the background picture, this is one of our sites. That's site 16.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a creek behind it too. So there's little stairs going down to the creek on that one.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm on your website right now, and your park is gorgeous. It actually reminds me kind of our park. It's very similar in topography. So we know kind of the struggles that you've done an incredible job.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But the website looks awesome too. It looks amazing.
Thanks.
And now, which is a perfect segue. Can you talk about the technologies that you use and like the software and all of that, the back end, and how that runs? And
I will. Do y'all want to hear about the software that I'm moving from right now? Is that okay to say on here? Okay, because
what you're moving from and what you're going to. Yeah.
Okay, so we actually so as far as the technology and stuff, we recorded a lot of stuff on TikTok, a lot of the build and things like that, which is sadly maybe going away. I love TikTok because it created such a beautiful community. It wasn't so much like, oh, nothing we were doing was pretty, you know. It was, and I didn't even, the reels part of Instagram wasn't a thing when we started building. So TikTok was the place to be with the videos and the blogging, and a lot of like real authentic stuff was happening over there when we first started. So I focused heavily on TikTok. I did not focus on Instagram as much. And then Facebook is more for like updates and posts and events and things like that. So I ended up kind of going that route with TikTok, and now I'm gonna have to get on Instagram
Hopefully
now.
it doesn't really go away, because I enjoy TikTok more than Instagram. But
The algorithm's great because I'll put something on TikTok that'll get 1 million views. I'll put it on Instagram and only my followers see it.
yeah.
So
But yeah, TikTok is such a good we were actually just having this discussion the other night. TikTok put a lot of emphasis on searchability. And so if you do RV parks, or you get what you're looking for, where if you do that into Instagram, you get all kinds of random
I
stuff.
know,
So
I know. I'm finding it really hard to get my footing over Instagram, and you know, there's nothing gram worthy about it. Currently, we don't have a really cool vintage like camper or anything that we can show off. So
but
it's
I
been
think some of the raw data, like raw video that you guys do, I think that's actually more appealing to most right now. Before it used to be like very glammed up, and now it's like we want to see the good, the bad, the ugly. That's
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's been, and you know, with me being in marketing and as a consumer myself, I've never really liked that commercialized vibe from places. You know what I'm saying? I really liked that authentic thing. But at the same time, like here, I'm the owner, like this is me in a trench. Like it was really cool doing that. So technology wise, that was one facet of it. The website build, I went to school for marketing and advertising. They never really, ironically, they don't teach you how to do Photoshop, Illustrator, or anything that you would use in marketing. They don't teach you any of that in school, at least at the University of Texas. They don't teach you the programs. So I had to figure out how to build websites. That's what I did in my previous life. Was I worked with small businesses. I did their marketing strategies for them. I would help them get their feet off the ground. I worked with several companies and several small businesses as startups, and did all of their marketing, advertising, reservation systems, a lot of Airbnbs, boutique hotels, things like that. And so I had kind of a background in that. And that's where our website kind of came from. Was I wanted to do something fun and creative. And then also, surprisingly, I didn't realize it until afterwards, but my colors for my logo, because I made the logo too, my colors were inspired by this vintage seasoning thing. It's like a seasoning cylinder, and it's got like that orange and that brown and that yellow. I don't know if you've ever seen one, but they're like vintage Tupperware seasoning things, and it's a tower. And I looked at it one day and I was like, why do those colors look so familiar? And I was like, oh, I based my logo off of it, like subconsciously. So that was interesting. Now here's what's been so fun for the past year is whenever you do buy an existing RV park, I feel like you get a lot of the systems already in place. So propane, it's there. You just need to get your certification transferred. There's a few little hiccups that you got to deal with. They have a previous reservation system. You might have to renew that. There's a lot of technology, and I wish it wasn't this way, but it is the easier way to do it. Right. And phone systems, being on your cell phone now instead of answering a landline. There's so many different facets of how to keep an RV park up and running. And when I went to Branson, I realized that a lot of my vendors that I used were regular vendors. They weren't really knowledgeable in the RV space. So I started digging in and figuring out what would work best for us. Currently, I'm using a software that's very, very, very popular. Extremely popular. It's CampSpot, and that's what a lot of people use. Off of the beginning, it was pretty okay. There's a lot of things they could do so much better on, like they make you do all these little hoops and stuff for something that should be so simple. But and that's a lot of people's opinion about it too. Like it's like I love it, but it could be so much better kind of thing. There was card testing done on my account while I was in Branson and they called it brute force card testing. And it was over $1 million of transactions, over 15,000 transactions. And they use this processor called CardPoint. So I posted about it on Facebook saying, is this happening to anyone else? The COO reached out to me and he said, oh my gosh, this has happened before. We'll get it fixed for you. It's still happening right now. I'm still getting all these card testing done. And here's the thing, their payment processor that they use, it charges you for every rejected transaction. So so this month it was like $6,000 was taken out of my account at the beginning of the month, right after I put in all of my site rent payments. And I was like, So I came out to a zero balance with all these bills to pay. And so that was a lot of fun. And basically, whenever he had said that in the beginning that he got it fixed, that if there was a second attempt with another card during the same session, then the CAPTCHA would be enabled. But that never happened because she's still card testing. Her name, she is not a real person, but it's Aria Joy. Like, it's just some silly person and wreaking havoc on my life. But anyways, with their response to that, and with it being such, in such like, like that affecting my, like, I understand now why people sue for what do you call it, mental anguish. Because I'm sitting here like, oh, like, y'all have access to all my accounts and this card testing and all that stuff. So anyways, we ended up looking around at different reservation systems over the past month, obviously. And there was a few that I liked and a few that I didn't like, but we ended up kind of coming to terms. Something that was really important to me was the user interface on the customer side, making sure that things looked good over there and not outdated. And there's a few of them that fit the bill. So I started out filtering out my reservation systems based on what the customer would see. That was my number one thing. If I can make it look pretty, if I can add it to my website, that's not a problem. Widgets, whatever, like, I do that. That's okay. But if the customer booking site wasn't easy to understand or it was complicated, they automatically went out the door. ResNexus was who I ended up kind of being like, that's not too bad on the customer side. And they also, I was choosing between Stayless and ResNexus, and Stayless looks great on the customer side, but with them, they appeal more to short-term parks. So like short-term stays because of their structure, their business structure. ResNexus doesn't care if you have short-term or long-term. It's one flat fee a month. So I ended up going with them because they were the best of both worlds. And they also have the ability to do things like edit your emails and make them put coding in it. So for people like me, I'm like, yay, I get to add a picture. And so that's what we ended up going with ResNexus. We actually just had a training session with them right before this, actually. Nice. So switching over to them very soon.
Very cool. Yeah. So I like that you said, the options of doing longer term stays, because we have a mix of that stuff too. And so we're kind of looking at other systems right now. We use a pretty dated system, very intricate, but there's a lot of little things that it just seems, why do they do it that way? And
oh yeah. Let me know. I mean, I'll let you know how ResNexus works out, but so far they have like a dedicated support agent. So I don't have to call some random person and explain everything. I just call the person that I need. They have an account rep and everything. Like, they have a big one, like the main guy. And if he's not available, there's a second tier person that you reach out to. You don't call just customer support and get some random person. So it's pretty nice.
Now, are you guys doing bill back of utilities, or is that included in the monthly stays?
So the monthly stays are on tiered pricing, and the rates are $475, $500, and $525. That's the market rate, which I know is kind of crazy, but that's over in East Texas. That's normal. In fact, actually, it's somewhat on the high side. But we have those rates plus electric. We submeter them. On the 28th of the month, my camp host goes around and she'll read them. She adds them to the invoice. We shoot out the invoice. Bada bing, bada boom, all good after that. And I love that because we debated on whether or not, do y'all have the meters on y'all's? Do y'all submeter or do y'all include?
Oh yeah, we have a submeter and we have to manually read.
Okay, I'm okay with that because I only have 35 sites. Now, if I had more than that, my manager doesn't mind it. She's going to be out and about anyways. But there are obviously alternatives to that too, to do automatic reading. My water company actually recently switched to an automatic reader, and they messed up my water bill one month, and it was because of some system error. So sometimes I kind of like the idea that it's manual. You know what I mean? Gets my manager out and about and gets to talk to the guests, and you take meter readings, and
Yeah, nice. And so going back to the website, so was that part of the ResNexus, or did you build that out?
I built it out, from the ground up also.
Oh, okay.
So I built out the website, and then currently the way that CampSpot is, you have to do a booking link from a button. So you have a button booking link. Right now, I'm not really pushing advertising for the park because of everything going on with my credit card processor.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, ugh. And then we're also switching phone systems too. So that's been a lot of fun. We, that VoIP calling and stuff like that, making sure that you
Yep.
can answer it from your cell phone. We were on Google Voice, but as the owner, I'm not trying to take phone calls during the day. So I had to get a better system that had like, call forwarding, call queues, things like that.
Yeah.
And so we went with Zoom, and then Zoom's not working out very well for us. The calls keep dropping or going straight to voicemail, and I can see it. It's like abandoned call, abandoned call. And then now we actually are settling on Grasshopper, which is
Okay. Yep.
seems like it's a pretty good, like it's very easy and everything looks like it's pretty simple. So that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
But as far as the website goes, the way RestNexus works is that they give you almost like a copy of your website, and you get to use that link as a tab. So like you could literally have a book now tab going straight to that link and then stay within your website, and then
Okay.
have a home button on the top to where if they don't even know they're leaving your website because it's within
Got
the
it.
website. CampSpot takes you to their platform,
Yeah.
and then you
Yep.
have to enter it in through that. So it's a
Yep.
little bit different, but I kind of like it better because it keeps people in my website.
Yeah. That's always a plus.
Yeah.
And then your processing and all that stuff is are you able to use? Yeah, I mean, it sounded
Oh,
like CampSpot uses their
partially.
own.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was one of the first questions I asked them. So RestNexus actually is one of the only softwares, from what they're telling me, because like I said, I'm very new to this. They have their own payment processor. They're PCI compliant or something, like, I don't know what the word
Mm-hmm.
technically is, but they've gone through all the hoops, paid all of those big things, and you have to, like, if you go through them, it's a super low fee too because it's in-house. But they don't have ACH processing. So yeah, they're getting it this week. And ACH is what my long-term guests like to use because it's
Yeah.
less fees.
Yeah.
I don't like it because it takes 5 days to get money, but they don't, but as long as, but I'd also like to save them money as well. That's why I move all my bills to the end of the month and it's not so much of a hassle. But RestNexus actually has several different payment options that you can use. Stripe is one of them. I think that I don't want to speak out of turn, but I know Stripe is one, and I believe that there are several others that oh, there's one that I know of and it's like escaping me right now, but Stripe is who I like to use. So they do have that option, and then whenever they get the ACH, I just switch to RestNexus and then they process my payments. So
And do you guys have a store or you sell any type of goods at your guys' park?
we so yes, we are going to be expanding a store. We don't have the storefront yet. We do have the laundry room, the shower bathhouse, and the office. The shower bathhouse just got finished, so I need to update the website on that. But there we do sell the ice, and we sell firewood, and we sell mobile hotspots. And then once we get our propane, like I said, that's kind of on the cards or whatnot for going forward. It's going to be vending machines. I really like the idea of self-serve. So I kind of want to do like a self-serve store, which is kind of different, but I want to have the ability for people to use a vending machine to get a s'more kit. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
Like something like that until
That's
we
cool.
can actually have our store up.
Yeah. And so then are you going to be able to do point of sale through the Rest Nexus?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've been around for a long time too. The
Mm.
only thing that I would say that's a negative about it is the booking grid on it from our side of things is a little tedious at first because it doesn't look like everybody else. But I think I'm going to get used to it. Honestly, I feel like I'm going to get used to it. It's just with CampSpot, you got the purple and it's all easy and fluid.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll figure that out as we go along though.
Very cool.
And then for your long-term guests, are they on like a yearly lease? Do you renew a 30-day or a 28-day? Is there anything that you have to do in order to keep compliance with zoning, or you have no restrictions? How does that look for your long-term people?
That's such good questions. So with long term, you don't want them. So in Texas, basically the way that we do it was we do month to month. We don't do yearly because we don't want them to claim residence of our spots either. We do
Mhm.
allow packages to be delivered not paper mail, can't use ours for insurance or anything like that. You have to have some kind of like escapees plan or something like that. The PO boxes, post office is right across the road. So they're month to month with no expiration, you know, as long as they follow the rules, they can stay as long as they want. If they need, so one thing that we've ran into is like, you know, the families that have kids that go to school, you write a letter, at least from what I've experienced, is you write a letter saying that this person is on a month to month stay with us and is allowed to stay as long as she is welcome, and or he or whoever it is, and her kids are allowed to go to the school districts, because you have to like claim a address whenever you know, enroll your kids. So as long as we say month to month, that's kind of how that goes. Now, what a lot of people don't realize about RV parks, which I'm sure y'all are both familiar with, is that it's somebody's property, you know. So sometimes if you ever do have to, I've only had to do it one time. I've only had to do this one time, but in Texas, if someone's not paid up or they abandon their rig or anything like that, or they don't pay their rent and they're not communicating with you or trying to work on something with you, you stick a tow notice on their vehicle, and then the tow company comes and picks it up and then takes it away. And that's all you got to do. As long as they have ample notice and you've communicated that, hey, I put this on here, then that's all you have to do. We had that happen one time within the past year, but that was literally, they like had stayed there for I think 4 or 5 days at that point, and they weren't communicating with me, and I was like, you can't stay in this spot. Like, I was like, you gotta go. So finally we were able to do that, and they came and they picked up the camper after that happened, and I took a picture. They were like, okay, I'm gonna come get the camper, and they came and got it and went somewhere else. They were definitely a very interesting couple. So yeah, but that's a very rare occurrence.
And those month to month people, are they required to like leave for 24 hours, or are you required to change their RV space in order to keep compliance?
No, we don't have to do that out here. I mean, there's a lot of RV parks. Where are you guys from again? What
California. So we have some of the most strict guidelines.
Texas.
That's why we're asking these questions, because wondering how more relaxed it is. And
yeah, it's a lot more relaxed. For us, we did not stay in a city, like within city limits or anything like that. We're outside of city limits, so we deal with the county. It's a little bit more relaxed, but they do have regulations. I would say that the first 6 months before we built the park was how long it took for us to be able to get approval to build the park, was 6 months. And that was with me like every day corresponding with the county commissioner and the planning and zoning and the developing and all that. People don't realize how much goes into that, but that took about 6 months. So
that's pretty
good. Yeah.
It was
I know we're approaching about an hour here. I want to know, like, what has been the biggest horror story of the park development and even maybe running it.
Okay. So I mean, I touched base on one of them a little earlier. This credit card processing thing has thrown me for a loop.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you a horror story, and then I'm gonna give you the biggest challenge. So one of the horror stories that happened was, and it's kind of a horror story, but it's kind of sad too. I had a guest, and I've always noticed that whenever people call for other people, it's not ever like, it doesn't turn out good. At least with the 3 occurrences it's happened with me, if I'm not talking to the person that's staying there,
yeah,
I'm like, there's always something a little weird about it.
Interesting.
So this was a influencer on TikTok. Her dad wanted to move into the space. She called while they were on their way from Florida. She lives right down the road. She was like, I saw y'all on TikTok and I have a lot of followers too. And I was like, cool. And we hit it off. It was great. And she was like, okay, we bought my dad this camper. We just want him to stay there. We live right down the road. Thought that was a little weird because, you know, you have a house down the road. Why not just hook your dad up, you know? But then again, I was like, maybe this is a transitionary thing. They're just buying this house. It was a beautiful house. She told me all about it. And I saw it on her. I went, you know, as an RV park owner, you want to see who's staying in your RV park. So I looked at her TikTok and I was like, dang, that's a nice house for East Texas. And so anyways, they come in late. They drop off the camper. My on-site manager said they whipped in and dropped it off and whipped back out. But the dad wasn't there. There's nobody there. So the dad comes the next day, and it was we have cameras on the property over by the office. And the very first night that he stayed with us, he was walking around at like 3 a.m. without a shirt on. And I'm like looking at the cameras going, what is happening here? And then I had a conversation with Charlotte about it, which is my manager. And then I called him and explained to him that we can't do that in the middle of the night, you know. And then we got to talking about, he was such a sweet guy. He was really, really, really nice. But I don't know, maybe that conversation just felt right to him, because later that night he called me at 2 a.m., 2:45 a.m., 3:15 a.m., 3:45. I mean, it was all night long. My work number that was also, you know, going to my phone at the time, and then leaving voicemails. So I'm listening to all these voicemails about his past relationships, and just, I mean, they were over 3 minutes long. So I called his daughter the next day and I said, is there something going on? She was like, yeah, you know, it's just, we can't have him staying here. Him and my husband don't get along. I said, okay, just to let you know, like, we can't like babysit here. You know, if is something going, well, he's been in and out of a few mental institutions, etc. And I said, oh, okay. But I knew it wasn't the mental institution, like, I knew it was dementia or Alzheimer's or something like that. And I had a conversation with, she goes, you just need to call my mom. So I called his ex-wife, called her, said, y'all need to come get him out. He's speeding through the park. He ran into something and then came back with a broken windshield. This all happened within the span of like 5 days. And he hadn't even paid lot rent yet either. Like, they hadn't paid anything, and there's no deposit, there's no terms and agreements signed or anything, because everything happened so fast.
Yeah.
So anyway, I found out that basically he did have early onset dementia, and that the dad didn't want him around because he could get aggressive sometimes, which is totally normal for people with that. And I said, okay, so you just dropped dad off at my RV park. Like, and so I actually cried about that. So it was a horror story, but it was sad too. Like, I called my manager crying. I was like, I can't believe someone would do that to their own parent. And that was kind of rough. So they ended up coming to get him or whatnot, and that was that. So yeah, that was that.
Yeah, that's never fun, and it's gonna happen. And so
Yeah.
What happened with the other two that someone just called in to let people stay there? Somebody else was staying there.
So one of them was that tow story I was
okay.
talking about earlier, where they were divorcing. She ran off to the casino and left him there with no car, and he couldn't pay the rent because he had no wallet, and he sat outside smoking like a chimney, and was just kind of like, just walked around on the highway in front of the campground picking up sticks, things like that. So that was where the tow notice, that one was the other one. And then there was just another one that was only a short-term stay, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But you could just tell that wasn't going to, that it wasn't, I could tell why she booked for someone. It's because they weren't capable of booking it themselves.
So, yeah.
So that was those. As far as the most challenging thing that we've gone through, you want to hear about that? Challenging was obviously during those 2 months during the transitioning from 16 sites to 18. We found out we were having our third daughter the month after we opened. So like right before this all happened, I'm 3 or 4 months pregnant at 36 years old. Sorry, 36. I'm 37 now. 36 years old. I'm pregnant with my third child. I have a 17-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 6-month-old. So yeah. Had to deal with that. Josh had to stay at the campground from the time we opened in September. He had to manage it until May the next year. So my entire pregnancy, he only came home like for Christmas. That was it. That was fun. We had to go see each other. So there was so many challenges. It's hard to really narrow it down, but I will say the challenge that I'm dealing with right now, and there's 2 of them. So other than just the regular normal challenges, getting your systems in place and finding the right little black book of people that you rely on and depend on, whether that's a bookkeeper, accountant, you know, your manager, all that right there, getting those systems in place is very challenging, because you end up saying, I want to go with CampSpot, but I don't, CampSpot messed up, and I want to go with Zoom, but Zoom messed up, and you have to redo everything every time. I'll be very happy. I feel like my life will be complete when I get my systems just in place.
Yeah.
That's a challenge. The other challenge was, ironically, delegating. That was hard. Putting our campground in someone else's shoes, but the business owner cannot, y'all know this, business owner cannot, they can't be in the business. They have to run, they can't run the business. They have to work on the business. And that's kind of what I've been shifting towards a lot lately, is really like trusting my manager, trusting my accountant, trusting my bookkeeper. I kind of wish that I could throw off the mark, even though I love my marketing and I know that I have like my own brand myself. I feel like only I can do it, but that's such a large part that is part of my to-do list every day that I don't get to because I'm so busy doing other things. So eventually, sadly, I might have to actually, and that would be probably the most challenging thing, is delegating my marketing, trusting someone to keep my brand the way that it is. So I have to find a special person for that.
I think that's the hard part for most business owners is, and sometimes it's true, actually most of the time it's true, but an employer or somebody is not going to do it as good as you, right? But if they can do it at least 50 to 75% of what you can do, then you need to get things off I mean, we deal with this one.
You have to. I got very lucky with my manager. She started out as a guest who had never even RV'd before. Never. Like I was like, oh, I've been there before. That's how I was. I was so new to RVing whenever I bought that first camper that I got under it whenever I was 23. I got under it looking for the water connection. That's how unfamiliar I was with RVs. Whenever they brought that first sandpiper over and me and my daughter lived in that for 3 or 4 years, I crawled out and I was like, oh, can't find the water. And I like walked past it and I saw city water connection. Awful. But yeah, my manager is amazing. I'm very lucky because she's actually more like 95% like me. Very particular, very organized, very outgoing. If you look up the definition of Southern hospitality, her face is right next to it. She greets our guests like, hey y'all, welcome to the campground. And like, I can't even try to like emulate her. But if you look at our reviews online, everybody loves her. I got so lucky with that. There's of course some certain things that she doesn't do the way that I would do them. But I think that's kind of the beauty of it, because the more people that you get on the team, the more you can, make things happen. And it diversifies the experience. So, I love that part about it too.
Yep. Nice. Well, Kaylee, we're about an hour, maybe a little bit over. Appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your knowledge. Looking forward to talk to your husband, Josh, too, and get his experience on like the construction side of things. Which will also be very interesting, right? I've seen a lot of your guys' videos, so it's and so it's cool to see both perspectives of the business, right? And not a lot of people have this experience of actually building from the ground up and then managing it like what you guys are doing. So one little quick question: how far away are you living from your park right now?
We are about 4 hours away.
Wow.
Now. Yeah. So he's actually heading up to the RV park tomorrow because we're getting propane. So we go about once a month, and we tell all of our guests, we're like, listen, when you stay with us, all of your money goes back into the company. Me and Josh both agree, next 5 years, we're living on red beans and rice and ramen noodles. And we are going to get the park where because we're self-funded also. We have to find this money ourselves. We don't have investors. So every month, Josh goes up there and works on a project. Last month, the last 2 months, Josh has gone up there 3 times or so and finished the bathroom. This time he's doing the propane lines or the propane electricity. He's running that and working on the hot water heater and cameras or whatever. And then he'll come back home, and then I'll go up there next time and organize everything that he misplaced and get Charlotte, all he's the most organized, unorganized person that I know. And I love that about him too, because I know I can depend on him, but I can't depend on him to tell me where he left the screwdriver. Like, so it's funny. But yeah, we take turns going up there, and then he's like, you know, he stays with kids. So that's how we do that.
Awesome. So how
Yeah.
can people get a hold of you and potentially, you know, also your website is it Big Tex Campgrounds.com, right?
Yeah, they can scan. Wait.
Oh yeah, scan the QR code here.
Scan the QR code to go directly to our website if they want.
Yep.
From there, there's also links to our TikTok and Facebook. I would love it if people could shoot me a follow on Instagram, because I'm trying to build it. It's really weird having 24,000 followers on TikTok and like 150 on Instagram. I'm like, this isn't the real me, you guys. Like,
Yeah.
I actually have a lot of followers. It's just not on this platform. So I'm really trying to build up my Instagram following, because I think that that's where they have a really good way of making videos. So that's where they can find us, is on TikTok for as long as that lasts, and then Instagram, and then of course Facebook is more like for these are our sites that are coming up available. These are the events coming up, you know, things like that. So
Yeah.
I would say follow on Facebook. I would say follow on all of them, but definitely Facebook, definitely Instagram, and definitely TikTok.
Very good. Everywhere in social media, give them a follow, give them a like, send it, boost the algorithm, especially on Instagram, because you know they're really big on sharing and liking and commenting. So let's boost up their Instagram, guys, and go from there. Appreciate you, Kaylee, coming on the show and sharing your experience, and really, you know, diving into and deep into what it takes, and you know, not all rainbows and butterflies, whatever they say. So
Yes.
but thank you again, appreciate it, and looking forward to chatting more.
Yeah, definitely. Thank y'all so much for having us. I look forward to hearing what you got for Josh later on. That'll be fun.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, thanks, Kaylee, appreciate it.
Thanks
All
so
right,
much.
bye.
Bye.